in conjunction with our legal counsel, we felt he did not. And then he asked at that time what the options were, and I said, well, you can come and bid. You can go try to pay the taxes in advance, just so it removes it from the sale, and then work things out with the Bergs afterwards, or you can come and bid at the sale and try to get clear title of it. And Mr. Wallenstein did come to the sale, and he did bid on the parcel, but he did at some point not win the bid because he didn't bid as much as Mr. Hanson.
Brian, can I ask you a question? What's the application you guys mailed out? What is it?
It's just a.
We can hear you. You're fine.
Well,
Oh, that's right.
she's gonna yell at me when I don't step in front of the mic. Anyways, it's a standard. It's a form that we created when we created the preferred bidder status, a way of gathering information. It's
Okay.
really an informational.
You said
gathering
all
form.
I needed to hear.
Okay.
The clerk auditor's office sent an application for a preferred status of sale.
Well, I don't.
When
pick and
did you mail
choose.
it? No, I know. I'm not saying you picked and choose.
What?
When did you mail it?
I
Inside of the 14 days?
yes.
Yes,
That's what
okay.
I was about to
Okay.
come up and clarify that. Normally we get these out earlier. This year I got them out later, so no one applied
I
within
don't
14
fault you
days.
at all because I know what this is like and you guys do
No.
a tremendous job.
Well,
That is not my issue.
And I would like to point out the 14-day requirement is really a processing requirement. It's not
Right.
It's not in statute.
It's not a
or anything like
statute.
that.
I know.
Yeah.
That's
or ordinance.
It's kind
in
of
this
like
case.
putting a public hearing
But
back
either
because we have vacation.
way, it was considered.
Yes, it
Yes.
was considered.
Well-
No matter if it was outside 14 days, inside 14 days,
No,
it was.
and
I
as a matter of-
guess my reason in asking that question, and again,
Yeah.
you don't have to answer this because Brian's actually the one that has the status. We sent out an application because we contemplated, so to me, the reasonable person standard, not Paul's standard, the reasonable person, and by Paul I mean all attorneys, the reasonable person standard. We sent out an application because we saw potentially here a nuisance, an access, something that met our ordinance that we sent out the in-house application preferred status on the sale.
Well, as a matter of course, I actually send out the preferred bidder application with pretty much all the neighbor notices that I send out. So we used to be more selective. Because of that
Right,
same
because when we
concept,
needed closed doors
I
and Richard
eliminated
rented to
that.
us, we literally called them nuisance pieces.
Right.
So I guess point of access that you can't, I mean, you literally have to hop over, still violating the airspace of property because it goes up. I don't know how you would ever, how that's not considered a nuisance, I guess. So for me, and unless the attorney has to speak.
I just would like,
I'd like us to actually
Yeah,
have a conversation.
me too.
on
I
that.
think we're
I've
done.
heard from you as
Okay.
much as I need to.
I
myself.
would just hope
appreciate
you
it.
take a look at the
Yeah,
statute.
We are looking at
The
it.
ordinance.
So, for me, do we want to listen to Paul, or we're done with? We just want to talk commission wise.
I'm happy for us to just have a discussion here
Me too.
unless someone else needs to hear from
Okay,
Paul.
thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
For me, I guess I'll start. So to me, I find an access problem. This to me is a nuisance and/or cloudy because if it wasn't, we wouldn't be here. The preferred sale, to me, this meets the standard. Again, I understand Brian goes through process, and I haven't been involved in a tax sale other than these appeals. Using Mr. Hanson's statements, the only way he gets access, his words that he just said, was through a compromise of meeting of the minds, basically, to change and exchange property. That, in essence, is a nuisance for me. And then he says, and under the other statute where he says cloud upon an existing interest of the property, he then says, I admit there are problems here on this property. Okay? His words, he's the purchaser. So again, and we pull and change status all the time of the day of the tax sale due to the clerk auditor saying, okay, in your judgment, we pull things. So 14 days, again, wasn't a big deal to me. For those things, because Mr. Hanson admits there's a problem, I mean, the code's pretty clear, access, zoning. I don't even care if it's an 80-foot cliff. The access is the issue for me, and then the nuisance, because when the owner or the purchaser says there's a problem here, well, I can listen to any attorney argue both sides because that's what you all do, but to me, that creates a nuisance and or cloudy. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay. Commissioner Lee?
A question for you, Brian, before you mentioned that I can't remember Hanson's, this, and the other one's Polson, right? Okay, that he could have came in and paid the taxes,
Anybody can come in,
and paid the taxes, and it would have taken off, it would have taken.
take it off the sale, but they would still need to work out arrangements with the,
Since he's a 10% interest holder in it and so forth, could have paid the taxes and.
to
and
to
then
forestall the
That would have
sale.
stayed for another 5 years, potentially.
That would have given him ownership?
No, it would not have given him ownership. It would have just kept it from
Left
going
it
to tax
status
sale.
quo.
But it buys time for him to
Right,
then,
so it starts the process over again for the ownership under the birds.
for another
So why
5
would
years.
anybody
For
come
5
and pay the
years.
taxes without ownership?
If they had a vested interest and they needed time to buy time to go ahead and, perfect the title or get it transferred to the right name. People do that all the time.
Yeah, so the other thing, looking at the property itself, I know that it goes to a point right there, and we're saying there's only a few inches on that. But yet down on the other end, we're saying, well, wait a second, I'm not sure if those lines are actually accurate. They could be totally off. What if that point actually is not a point and it goes way out into the street? And there is 29 feet, 30 feet of access right there. I don't know. I don't know what that is. I
Yeah,
don't know if
you'd really
that's
have to look
accurate
at the
or not.
legal description to know exactly what it
We're
is.
just
know what
going
it
off
is.
of lines.
Well,
I
because-
don't think we can say that there's no access there based off of that
Except for the street,
documentation.
we would have already claimed, it's county road, right?
City,
Oh, city road.
it's
So the
scenic
city-
drive.
So they would have already claimed,
Well, I mean, we see,
how long's the road been
we
there?
see it going out into the
Oh,
roads
scenic's
all the
been there
time.
for years.
Okay, so it's over that 7 or 10 year status, so the transfer of title is already done.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is if the point would have went out and had been transferred to title, you still have an access point that's bigger, wider than a couple inches. That's the only, I don't know. It may not be. It may be that it's right there and you only have a couple inches, and there has to be something different with it. I see that there's value in this property. We assess this thing as a valuable piece of property. It does have, a certain status attached to it as well. Part of my concern in looking at this is that I know we talk all over and over that we're not supposed to try to cure property issues based off of tax sales. We don't want somebody to say, you know what, I'm gonna let my property go into a tax sale status so that I can then therefore turn right around and try to redeem it through a tax sale and just pay minimal amounts to do that.
And in
That's-
fact, the code prohibits that if anyone, the owner themselves or a party to the owner tries to perfect their title, get rid of liens or things like that, then it's not considered,
Yeah.
it's just considered a redemption if they pay the taxes.
So there's a concern I have with that, meaning that there is an owner here that has 10% interest in a property, and in some cases, without paying the taxes to prolong and try to get it resolved through the other issues with the estates, or to come and pay for the property at the tax sale, the tax sale itself, in trying to perfect that it's problematic for me, and when I look at that. I personally think we went through the process. We gave all considerations there, and we gave everybody an opportunity to bid on this. And there was plenty of opportunity for anybody to come and bid on this parcel. I don't take the lines that are in there and necessarily say, that's exactly the way it is. Maybe totally different, I don't know. I'm not gonna speculate on that, and I think that we've gone through the process appropriately, and I feel like upholding that process is something that needs to be done.
So I don't disagree with you. I just think that we're wrong in our preferred bidder status, because then the next part that says the bidder owns a parcel or parcels that abut. Well, clearly it's wedged right in between there. That's the part for me. Again, I commend Brian and your staff. So when I say that, I'm not trying to pass judgment. I just think sometimes, we get so busy because they are busy. Not only that, you had an election. There were a lot of things going on at this time. I just think we were wrong in not granting preferred status for me.
Just for clarification, the preferred status granting, that's discretionary with the clerk
Discretionary,
auditor.
I know.
absolutely.
You'd have to find an
And-
abuse of discretion, not just that you might have made a different
Right.
decision.
And I think there's arguments to be made on both sides of that. For me, on this one, I think there's a lot of moving parts. It ends up going down to you had an opportunity to bid. and you stop bidding and someone else bid higher, and that's the way it is, so. I would be I'm inclined and would allow the sale to stand. I believe we fulfilled our responsibility, and there was an opportunity for all interested parties to purchase the property. So, therefore.
I would like to see us then amend this ordinance and drop the preferred status, because if it's discretionary, I mean, again, I try and always apply the reasonable person. Not everybody's an attorney. Paul, Paul, I love picking on Paul because I love Paul, but anybody can read that. I'm not an attorney. I read it that way. So I think we ought to just also talk about going and striking that out of our code in the future then, just because if we're not going to do that.
Certainly worth looking at. On that, I would entertain a motion if there's no further discussion.
I'll make a motion that we deny the tax sale protest as filed in an regular agenda item number 21. What else do you want?
I am so sorry to add, subject to findings that will be on a future.
Okay.
We'll prepare findings for that.
Okay. Subject to written findings.
Just for moving it along, I will second.
I have a motion and a second to deny the protest as stated in number 21. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion will pass 2-0.
2-1.
2-1, sorry. Meeting must be getting long. Thank you to everyone who's participated this far. And we have a series of closed meetings to set. For today's, we need 23 and litigation 25. And then we have the series of others.
23. You said 23?
We need 23 and 25. And
We need 24 also.
as well.
24
and 25?
Yep, 23, 24, and 25. He's looking at those.
You, me, who is it?
And then we have a series of the ones.
Do you have the list?
I do have a list.
I have this list. Do you have that list? Okay, I'll.
You need that, you got
That's
that?
the same, yeah.
Okay. All right,
Oh, I do now.
take it away, Bill.
Okay. So, let's see, let me get to the wording here on it. And this is for 22.
22 can be stricken.
22 can be stricken, okay. I move that we strike number 22.
Second?
I have a motion to second, strike regular agenda item number 22. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, carries 3-0.
Make a motion that we approve and set a date, time, and location for a closed meeting for a strategy session to discuss the purchase, exchange, or lease of real property, water shares, water rights, or water shares at today's date at this location following our regular agenda.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to approve regular agenda item number 23. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, carries 3-0.
I make a motion that we approve and set a date, time, and location for a closed meeting to discuss the character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of an individual or individuals at today's date at this location following the completion of our regular agenda. And I'll do the second one.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to approve regular agenda item number 24. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 3-0.
I also make a motion to approve and set a date, time, location for closed meetings to discuss the character, professional competence, or physical health of an individual or individuals at the following dates. And that is Tuesday, July 17th, 2018, and this will be taking place in the commission chambers. Tuesday, July 27th. Let's see, did we have a time on that last one?
No, it's right after.
Okay. This one didn't have a time on it, is the only thing.
It says right
So-
after
so this is-
regular
This is the
agenda.
Right
one we're,
after.
oh,
That's
this
the
one I
one we
already
already
did,
set.
okay. So it'll be Tuesday, July 17th at 1 PM in the Commission Conference Chambers, room 2300. And July 18th, 2018 at 2:30 PM in the Commission Conference Chamber Rooms, 2300, room 2300. July 19th, 2018 at 1 p.m. at the Commission Conference Room 2300, and Friday, July 20th, 2018 at 9 a.m. in the Commission Conference Room 2300, and Friday, July 20th, 2018 at 1 p.m. in the Commission Conference Room 2300, and Monday, July 30th at 2018 at 9 a.m. in the Commission Conference Room 2300.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to set the noted closed meetings for professional confidence. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Carries 3-0.
I move that we approve and set a date, time, location for a closed meeting for a strategy session to discuss the pending or reasonable imminent litigation at today's date at this location following the completion of our regular agenda.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve regular agenda item number 25. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carries 3-0. We'll now move to our work session, which is a VOCA grant funding presentation.
Chris Buckley, Utah County Attorney's Office, just here to give you the update as required by the grant regulations. Really not too much to tell you as far as an update. If you remember, we started we just finished the first year of the new 2-year grant cycle. They recently changed it so we could do 2 years at a time instead of the 1 year. So we've recently just finished the first year. We're still compiling the numbers for that, so we don't have numbers to give to you yet. I think probably the most exciting update to give you is to let you know that because you decided to fund some more hours for the victim witness coordinator at the Utah County Attorney's Office, we were able to hire a third victim witness coordinator. So right now, my position is full-time. Katie Fox's position is full-time. And we recently hired Lily Ramirez as the third full-time victim witness coordinator. So because of your generosity, we were able to hire someone to help with the victims that come through our office. And Lily is also a Spanish speaker, so she's able to help those who speak Spanish as well. We don't have to ask any of the other agencies to come step in and help us when we have a Spanish-speaking victim. So that's a big, huge bonus for us. And sadly enough, this will be my last update because Lily is going to be on the grant and she will be the one giving you the updates from now on. So I wanted to introduce you to Lily. And she'll be the one that comes a couple times a year to give you the update, and she'll be able to give you some numbers, hopefully, and some financial information the next time that she comes.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Is there any general public comment at this time? Okay.
I didn't hear who said it.
If you'll come please state your name. This is general public comment, yes.
Excellent, thank you. My name is Jason Randall. I supervise the Special Victims Unit with the Utah County Sheriff's Office. We also supervise the Utah Valley Special Victims Task Force. The reason I'm here, it's kind of twofold. The first and foremost was watching the commission meeting from 2 weeks ago and the treatment of Sheriff Tracy. He has served the Utah County 41 years. I've been with Utah County for 21. Sheriff Tracy has been my sheriff for 18 of those years. He's been phenomenal. It was extremely disappointing that the sheriff was not allowed to go out on his own terms when he was planning on. And I'm not going to get into the circumstances around that, but a sign of disrespect and actual casual dismissal of the sheriff is not only felt by the sheriff, but it's felt by every one of us as members of the sheriff's office. So that was an extremely disappointing commission meeting to watch, to see a public servant of 41 years having gone through what he's been through, and then to basically have his hand forced in that manner. And I know there's other factors and stuff, and I'm not going to get into that.
Yes.
But collectively, I know you guys are doing the best job you can, but there's not a commissioner on here that's served more than 4 years. You guys are all in a first term. I've been with the county 21 years, under Sheriff Durfee more than that, the sheriff 41 years. We have seen commissioners come and go. I've seen them come and go for 21 years, and it's very concerning where this is going. And that actually wasn't the main part of my comment. My main part of the comment was, one, it was appreciation for the market study that you guys finally, a market study that was 2 years old, that was finally implemented in June. But my biggest concern, and I supervise, again, 3 detectives, I supervise multiple victim advocates and civilian staff. When this market study was implemented, it was great. There was finally an attempt to bring us up to the market value, but again, that study is 2 years old. We just found out today with one of our best sergeants is now moving to another department at the same rate as a sergeant. He's going to be getting nearly $15 an hour more than what he's getting paid here, which is absolutely ludicrous. But even more concerning with this market study is this was supposed to have been implemented in January. And the 3 of you stood up in January, and this was supposed to have been implemented, and you chose to delay it. Now, the cost of that delay, and again, I was a history major at BYU, one reason because I only had to take 1 math class. And I loved history, but in just doing the simple calculations off a workday with my people, this delay in not implementing the study in January as it should have been has taken, one detective is $4,000, another detective is $3,900, another detective is $3,900. My civilian staff all told was $10,200. So that delay that this commission chose to enact and not implement this market study in January has cost directly my people $23,500. Commissioners, that's not your money. This market study should have been put in January. It should have been put in before that, but you guys voted to delay in January. And the promise when you did this was that back pay would be not considered, back pay was promised to the employees of Utah County. I supervise a special victims unit. I know that every supervisor in here can come in and extol the virtues of their people. We have phenomenal people that work for Utah County. My detectives wade through child pornography. They wade through hearing the most heinous things that have done to children and to adults. My victim advocates on a daily basis are trying to piece people's lives back together because they have been horribly, horribly perpetrated against. They've earned this money. What do I tell them as a supervisor when they come to me and say, hey, what's the deal with the back pay? When is this going to come about? Because this was promised to them. And I know we're going to get, well, it's going to be hard to figure out with Workday. I'm not a math genius. I sat down, I pulled up their rates, their hours they've worked so far, the overtime rates. These are the amounts. We can put a spreadsheet together. We can send it over to personnel so that it can be verified, and it's there. This is their money, and this should have been done. And so my question for the commission is, what do I tell my people?
I would tell your people to watch that commission meeting where we passed that very carefully, because we did address that. We all felt a commitment to back pay, and we actually said, but we need more time to identify the funds. We will make it correct, but we need until September to go through and make sure the numbers are correct and verified because of Workday and other issues, and meeting with
Is there anything we can do to help that process?
We asked for department heads to participate.
Listen, I tried in my motion to do something like that, and that motion was shot down. So at this point in time, because doing back pay was something that we needed to look at and analyze all the way through. And that was part of my motion, was to say, let's delay this, let's make sure and look at it, let's do the back pay. What happened was, as the motion came forward, and I supported the motion because it was the second best alternative in my book, and that was to move forward from this point on. That's kind of what was thrown out there. And so we went forward. We're going forward with it now. You know, if we're going to go back, we're going to have to resurrect everything on it and try to figure out back pay.
Can I tell my people that that's what's going to happen, that they're going to get back, that this is their money. They've earned this.
But my motion when I did it was, the only reason I didn't second Commissioner Lee's motion at that time was because, not that he didn't make sense, it was for me, I wanted to implement the pay now so we didn't fall further behind. And that was how I looked at it. because then going through analyzing the rest of the budget, find out where we were, because we can't just take the money out. We either have to open the budget or identify the funds within it. And that's why I said, working with department heads, employees need to understand we're waiting until, I said it would probably take until September. And so I gave us a deadline of that with working with department heads and stuff like that so that we can make that decision, because that was my motion. I'm the one that made the motion, and it was supported. I mean, but in the budget meeting, I made that motion. Commissioner Ivey asked for $1 million to be set aside. Commissioner Lee actively participated in that agreement. We were in agreement on that.
Well, we can get you the numbers. We truly can. Again, because if I can figure it out, anybody can figure it out,
Yeah, but
truly.
see, here's the problem, is that part of the discussion, when Robert stood up there and said, okay, what does back pay mean? Does back pay mean that that it's going forward, we're gonna do the market study and we're gonna do the back pay? Or is this an implementation where we're looking at it and saying, okay, is there a way that we have a little bit of delay in there, or is it one or the other? That discussion happened in that meeting as well. And I said, it was never intended for me to say one or the other, because the option was, let's take a look at what we have and let's try to incorporate it in, and it may have to be a little bit of delay into the future so that we can have the money to pay the back pay. That's not what came out of that meeting. What came out of that meeting was, we're gonna implement this market study fully and move forward. And so now we want to do the full implementation, and we did the full implementation, which is great, but we never did an analysis of what that was going to cost going back. And so no one's fought harder for the back pay on that, and I'm more offended than probably a lot when it comes to that, because that was something that I fought for all along. I fought for the back pay. But now we're in a position to where we spent that money and we spent the opportunity to look at the analysis that would take to do it and go back and pay it. So now we're caught in a whole different situation.
Well, and that's, as a supervisor, I want to take hope back to my employees, because there's not a lot of hope right now in the SO with the current political, in the administration. There's just, and the situation. I've been a precinct chair for several years, a vice chair. I understand the political situation in Utah County. I'm a Republican, I'm a conservative. But the interesting thing when it comes to politicians, whether at the local, state, or national level, sometimes as politicians, they get so worried about keeping their job, they forget to do their job. And so it's my hope and my employees' hope in talking to them that, you know, the definition of insanity is what? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. We have seen the commissions for 20 years now simply kick the can down the road. And
How many times, Jason, have you seen a commission in a 1 year period of time give about a 9%, 9 to 11% increase in pay?
And Commissioner, that's greatly appreciated. It's wonderful. But
Yeah,
this
well,
is,
it sure doesn't feel like it. I'll be blunt on
No,
this
but it
one.
is.
It doesn't feel like it.
but we are,
Because I have very few exceptions have we received thanks for that. It's been not enough, not enough, not enough, kick the can, you guys suck, continually, specifically very heavily from your department, when some of us are trying, I think all of us are trying very hard to move this thing forward,
and
to
I
get
said
pay
that
where
was
it's
appreciated,
compensated.
and it is appreciated. But appreciation doesn't fix the problem. This market study was 2 years old. Most of the agencies on that market study in Utah County within those 2 years have significantly bumped those wages.
Well-
And again, we wouldn't be losing one of our best sergeants to another
Your department
department.
was in the meetings in which they did the adjustments.
So,
The ones
with
that
all due
accepted it.
respect, anytime you implement a salary study, it's always outdated. There is no way to pull live data that day for an organization as large as ours. Two, I resent the thing that when you say it's not our money. Yeah, it's not personally my money, but the three of us, and only the three of us, were elected to be responsible for every penny. So I do resent that, because I've been a strong advocate for the sheriff's department.
This is true.
The other third point that I have is, in the process of going through that process, Sheriff Tracy, Under Sheriff Durfee, and many of the chief deputies came to us and said, we can't retain people, we can't start people, we can't do this. And we, independent of that, raised those starting wages significantly as they came to us. That happened every time they came to us. So while we worked through that, we were still granting that. We also did it for other departments. Did we do it across the board? No, we did it as the department heads came and saw the greatest need. Does that mean every employee knows that? No. But that's not our fault. We did as we saw fit to help the county as those either elected or department heads chose and came to us. So
And
that's
those
the
are all
hard part.
greatly appreciated. And again, I'm not speaking as administration. I'm addressing me and my people during the public comment section. So please don't construe anything as coming from the administration or anything like that, because I'm not. My office is literally right across the road, and I walked over. And so, but again, those were my concerns, and my concerns for my people about the back pay issue. And I know how hard they work, and all the people in Utah County work hard, especially with what they're dealing with. I wanted to bring those concerns up, and it was mainly with the back pay, in trying to get an answer that I can bring back to them as their supervisor, to let them know that not only do I totally appreciate the efforts they do on the behalf of the citizens of Utah County, but that's appreciated as well. And don't get me wrong, that the market study that was put into play was greatly appreciated. Part of that appreciation, I think, Commissioner Ivey, was probably not run up the chain because of the back pay issue. And as they start doing the math and they start thinking, okay, well, in January we were told back pay, and okay, may go to September, but then they do the math and they're like, wow, so that's $4,000 that if we just implement this in January that we would have. So, and that was the main point. So I appreciate your time, and believe me, those efforts are appreciated, and what has gone in is appreciated, but there's obviously still work to be done.
Sure.
And I don't think any of the three of us disagree with that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for me?
No, one statement though, I mean, a lot of the things you said there come from a perspective, and there's a whole bunch of more information that hasn't been talked about, and hopefully you realize that.
Absolutely.
There was some assumptions and everything that were made in there that, in my opinion, are not even accurate, but still, all the way through some of the processes you have there. If you'd like to come and talk with me anytime, please come to my office. We can sit down. I wouldn't mind at all having that conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public comment? Seeing none, we'll move to our closed meetings.
Is Jeff Beeman out of town?